the Trickster's quest and arrival at Zalunda. Alumo, now known to the celestial realm as the Trickster, had grown immensely in power. He stood on the cusp of true greatness, his very presence radiating authority and danger. Yet deep within, he was driven by dark whispers, deceived into believing that the being who had guided him to this strength was simply another imprisoned deity, unaware that he had become a pawn to the anti-creator himself. Blinded by vengeance and thirst for recognition, Alumo never saw the subtle clues, the manipulative twists woven by this cunning entity. Now, wielding the potent fragment of anti-creation, he hungered desperately for more. He knew 2 fragments remained hidden somewhere within the vast, mysterious expanses of Alkebulan. Finding them meant obtaining absolute power, enough power to exact vengeance upon those who had humiliated him, Amadioha, and ultimately the elder gods themselves. The Trickster's dark quest brought him rumors of a curious figure, a god known simply as the Story Collector, an ancient deity who traded in tales, legends, and secrets. Among his greatest clients was the enigmatic Anansi, a deity whose very existence symbolized cunning and knowledge. From whispers and murmurs among travelers and seers, Alumo learned that this story collector might hold information about the location of the second fragment. His search led him to the vibrant heart of celestial life, a legendary tavern known as Zalunda. The tavern was bustling, teeming with deities from every corner of Alkebulan, its atmosphere thick with laughter, boasts, whispered secrets, and clandestine dealings. As the Trickster quietly stepped through Zalunda's threshold, hooded and cloaked in subtle illusions, he cast a watchful gaze over the patrons, meticulously scanning for the story collector. Every face was a potential threat, every conversation a hidden opportunity. Settling silently into a shadowed corner, he waited, unnoticed, listening carefully. But as fate wove threads he could not yet see, Alumo's careful vigilance began to waver. From across the tavern, a ripple of commotion drew his attention, subtle yet unmistakable, radiating from a table far away, at which sat 2 gods, one young and troubled, the other unmistakably powerful. At first, Alumo remained indifferent, yet curiosity slowly tugged at him, compelling him to observe. Unknown to him, the beings he now watched were about to become instrumental in his quest for vengeance and in the tragic destiny of Alkebulan itself. Amadioha's curiosity and encounter with Udo. Across the lively expanse of Zalunda, Amadioha sat in thoughtful silence. He studied the young deity seated alone in the corner, Udo, whose troubled expression stirred something deep within his memory, like an elusive shadow teasing at the edge of consciousness. The face was familiar, remarkably so, yet the reason eluded him, an irritation that gnawed relentlessly at his mind. Amadioha stood suddenly, commanding immediate attention from the surrounding gods. Whispers erupted, some excited, others nervous. "Has he found another worthy challenger?" a voice murmured. "No, he's not strong enough. Amadioha must be mistaken," another responded skeptically. Udo noticed the growing commotion, confusion mingling with apprehension as the imposing figure of Amadioha approached. He felt his heart quicken, uncertainty flashing in his eyes as Amadioha sat casually across from him, eyes scrutinizing him deeply. "You," Amadioha spoke abruptly, leaning forward, his gaze intense. "Do you know me?" Udo swallowed hard, momentarily stunned. "You're Amadioha, the storm god," he replied cautiously, repeating what the common folk whispered with awe and dread. Amadioha waved dismissively. "I don't mean that. Have we met before? You seem strangely familiar." Udo hesitated, shaking his head slowly. "No, we've never met." Amadioha narrowed his eyes, leaning closer, examining Udo's features carefully. "Strange. You remind me of a god I encountered years ago, atop the divine mountain. I came down because of him." Amadioha tapped his finger thoughtfully against the table, murmuring, Madi. Udo's eyes widened suddenly, pulse quickening. Madinga? Yes, Amadioha exclaimed, snapping his fingers sharply. That's him, Madinga, remarkable young god. Younger even than you appear now, yet his aura, it was extraordinary. Powerful enough to make even me wonder what would happen if we fought. Meeting him set my expectations high. If he, still a boy, was so impressive, surely older gods must be far stronger. Yet when I descended, I found only disappointment. Amadioha's eyes glowed intensely, excitement mixed with frustration. Every challenger I've faced since has been weak compared to him. Yet you share his face, his mannerisms, but your aura, it's strangely quiet. Udo's heart raced. The admiration Amadioha expressed toward his father filled him with pride, his guard slipping entirely as he relaxed into the conversation. Without thinking, he uttered words he should never have spoken aloud, not in a place as perilous as Zalunda. Madinga was my father, he confessed, voice proud yet naive. Amadioha sat back sharply, eyes wide in astonishment, his expression shifting instantly to deep respect and curiosity. But across Zalunda, hidden deep within shadows, the trickster had heard every word and froze in shock. Seeds of tragedy. For the trickster, the revelation echoed like a dagger in his heart. Amadioha and Madinga, the two beings who had destroyed his family, had once crossed paths and spoken with mutual respect. Rage and betrayal twisted within him, a fiery killing intent rising uncontrollably. Nearby, lower-tier gods shivered suddenly, an unexplainable chill running down their spines. Amadioha's keen senses instantly detected the murderous aura. Turning swiftly, eyes narrowed, he searched intensely, but the trickster had vanished, slipping rapidly from Zalunda. The trickster moved quickly through shadowed streets outside, breathing heavily, forcing his boiling rage back under control. I nearly exposed myself, he whispered angrily, fists clenched. One careless mistake would have been my end. I must be cautious, patience, strategy. Yet even as he steadied himself, dark thoughts bloomed in his mind. His encounter with Udo had provided an unexpected key, one that could strike deep into both Amadioha and Madinga's legacy. A cruel, cunning plan formed rapidly in his mind. The first domino of Udo's tragic end had already been set into motion. Back inside Zalunda, unaware of the sinister schemes unfolding beyond the tavern's walls, Amadioha turned back to Udo, urging earnestly, "Tell me about your father. What burdens your heart so deeply?" Udo, relieved by the storm god's understanding presence, confided openly, describing the heavy expectations and conflicting ideologies he struggled with, whether to embrace Madinga's legacy or forge his own peaceful path. Amadioha listened carefully, nodding thoughtfully. "Consider this," he offered sincerely. "What was your father's deepest desire, the dream he never fulfilled?" Udo paused, speaking softly. He wanted mortals to connect directly with the source, without relying on worship of the elder gods. That was his dream. "Then you have your answer," Amadioha said firmly, eyes bright. "You don't need to become a warrior. Fulfill your father's legacy in your own peaceful way. Bring this wisdom to mortals. This will honor him and also achieve your own goals of peace." Udo felt clarity and hope surge through him, heart lifted by the storm god's advice. Yet, unbeknownst to him, his open-hearted confession had already set in motion an unstoppable chain of events. As they spoke, elsewhere, hidden in shadows, the trickster laid plans to manipulate these revelations against Udo, to ensure his tragic downfall. Back in Zalunda, Amadioha smiled warmly at Udo, unaware of the tragedy he had inadvertently helped trigger. Neither god knew that their heartfelt discussion had sealed Udo's fate, nor that their enemy had just begun spinning a deadly web around them all. And so the wheels of destiny turned silently toward tragedy, unseen, unstoppable, promising consequences far beyond their imagining.